Dear Reeve agus Fáilte to this video about Irish townland names. Somebody had looked for them on the OpenStreetMap Facebook group, and we had a map on the openstreetmap.ie website for a while, but we have some server problems, so we can't really offer that service anymore. But I thought I would just do a video on how to make them yourself. And I chose the civil parish of Kilcolumb, which is where Attatimore is a townland, which is where John O'Donovan was from, who was a famous Irish scholar and a surveyor. And let's start. I will be using overpass-turbo for this job again. First of all, I'm going to explain the code, and I have the code here, and I've color coded it in OpenOffice to make it more plausible. So these 3 lines again are just comments. It's just that's what we're going to do, looking for townlands in the parish of Kilcolumb, and it will give us the data in geojson format, and the timeout is 25. That means after 25 seconds it'll give up. So if my internet is too slow or there's too much data, it will give me an error. So I could change it to 45. I'm pretty sure it's not needed. For some queries, like for example ring forts, if you look for ring forts in the whole of Ireland, because there's so many mapped already, you might have to up it to 120 or something like that. And then first we are going to define the area of the parish of Kilcolumb. Again, these double slashes mean this is just a comment. This doesn't do anything to the query itself. It's just so I know what's happening, or you know what's happening. So we do that like in the video before. We define the area, and we're looking for the name Kilcolumb, and the boundary is civil parish this time. In the last video I was looking for boundary barony, but it was going to be too big, so I've decided to go down to civil parish. There are some Catholic and Protestant parishes mapped already, I think, but not the whole of Ireland. And then the next line, once we have defined the area we're looking in, we can look for the townlands. And again, this is just explaining what is happening in the code below. Search for townlands in the previously defined area. So townlands are always defined as a relation. That's the REL as relation. So again, this means look for the relation in the area, and the area is defined up here. And then look for admin level 10, which is townlands, as I have explained before. And I will run this query now in overpass-turbo and see what we get. So overpass-turbo was written by a German, and in case you haven't watched any of my previous videos on overpass-turbo, you can find it under overpass-turbo.eu, and it's a very powerful tool to mine all the data that is saved on OpenStreetMap. So this is the same code that I showed you before. overpass-turbo has its own color coding, so all the comments are this light brown color and so on. And I will hit run, which is on the top here, and it gives me, when I had zoomed in on that area previously, it gives me all the townlands in the parish of Kilcolumb in County Kilkenny. If I click on one of them, it tells me admin level 10. As I said, that's for townlands, boundary administrative, locality townland, and then it has a loganim reference number and a link to loganim as well. I won't click on that now. And the name is Ballinlammy, and also the English name is Ballinlammy, and then there is an Irish name. I won't even try, as usual. And then it's also defined as a place locality, and the type is boundary. And as I said in the previous video, this is in alphabetical order. It's not in hierarchical order. So more logically, it would be type boundary, and then boundary is administrative, and then the next would be admin level 10 and so forth. But this is always displayed in alphabetical order, so it might not make an awful lot of logical sense, but it works. And you can see we have the Irish name here. If I click on another one, you also have an Irish name. and the same structure. There's the same tags as in the other ones. There's a tiny one here, red gap, and it has all the same tags. You see there's also a number of tags displayed here, and I think they should all have 10 tags. Yes. And what we can do now, because we want to export this as an image file, and I don't really like this yellow and pink. Maybe you don't like it either. And also what I want to do is display the Irish names as a label. And we do that by going here under outBody semicolon, and we add 2 of those mustache brackets or wavy brackets or whatever they're called officially, and then style colon, and then every opening bracket has to be closed, so I add 2 closing wavy brackets. And what we want to do is we want to define the border as black, for example, and what it gives us is relations, so we have to tell it to affect the relations with our CSS. That's what it's called, cascading style sheet, CSS. So we type relation, and then we have a pair of wavy brackets again, and in those we say that the color shall be black, and it uses the American spelling for color. It's very important. And then a semicolon after to close that. And if I hit run now, look what happens. You see it has changed the outline color to black, but the inside is still yellow. And you know, Kilkenny people will like this color scheme, but I don't want it. I want the inside to be just white. So we do that by using fill-color and none. And that just takes away the color. I think you could also use white instead, but I won't try that now. So we have the outlines now of all the townlands. If you zoom in, you've probably done that before. If you've used your OpenStreetMap, you see the townland boundaries are this kind of purple dotted line, which is very hard to see when you're just looking at it from this zoom level. So this CSS brings it out more. And let's say we want the line to be even thicker. So we just type width colon 4. And if I click run now, that gives us the lines a bit thicker. That makes it pretty visible. And now we want the Irish name for the townlands displayed, and that's also saved in this relation here. So again, we start by saying show us the relation in a certain style, and the wavy brackets again, and what we want displayed is text, so that's what we tell it to do, and then colon, and then as I showed you here, we have to tell it which of the 10 tags we want displayed, and we want the Irish name. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here, and this space seems to be important because I tried before and it didn't work. And now we have all the Irish names displayed, and they're usually, the label is put in the center of the townland as far as that's possible, I think. So I'm just going to move this over here to have a bit more space. And if it's not ideal, it's not displayed in a perfect way to have it printed off or anything like that, but I just wanted to show you how you can use the CSS if you have a huge screen like that, you could zoom in like that and then save it. But very few people will have that. Originally, what I wanted to do this time was export this as an image file, but I realized that it doesn't export the labels, so that's a bit pointless. So I'm going to export it as a geojson file again and use uMap and show you how to change the default display from the name to the Irish name. So I click on export at the top and click on download as a geojson, and the file is going to be called export geojson, so I will rename it going to my downloads folder so I know what I'm dealing with, because I'm exporting a lot from overpass-turbo and I want to know what's what. And I've gone onto uMap. The URL is umap.openstreetmap.fr, and I'm logged in with my OpenStreetMap account. You do that when you're not logged in. There'll be a button here saying log in or sign in, and you click on log in, and it gives you 4 options of accounts you can use to log in, and one of them is the OpenStreetMap account. And you click on that and it'll open a tab where you grant access, and then you're logged in like me. So I will click on create a map, which brings me to this European view of the French map, because, well, not a French map, but it's in French, as you can see, Londres and Bruxelles and Copenhagen, I guess. So I will just drag this over here to where we're going and change the background map. What are we going to use this time? I'm going to use the riverboat, no, this one here. In case you want to print it off, this won't be too heavy on the printer. And at the top left, you see it says editing untitled map, and when you hover, there's a little pencil and you click on that, and that opens the editing window for the whole map. So there it says name there, and we call this Irish townland names. And in the description I'll say this map show the Irish names of townlands in the civil parish of Kilcolumb. And that's all we need to do for now, and I click save. And then we will upload the data that we've just exported by clicking on the upload button, which is this arrow up, and click on browse. And you might have to go to your downloads folder or wherever you have saved your file and find the file there, and maybe you have renamed it. I've renamed mine into Kilcolumb Irish Townlands, and I click on that and click on open. And in this window here you see that the data format has changed to geojson, because that's the file type it is, geojson. And we only have that one layer, so there's no need to import into a new layer. And I will just click on import. And the default color is this blue. If you don't like that, you can go into manage layers, which is this stack of disks, and click on the pencil there. You can also rename the layer into townlands, or let's say Kilcolumb, and change the properties of the whole layer. And you go to shape properties and color black, and fill color is further down, go to white. You can also just type white here. Let's say I hadn't chosen that and I type in blue. That's not the default blue, it's a different. And if I just typed white here, or what you can also do is use the hexadecimal code, which is, it's not really great to see. I'll change it to black so you can see it easier. Hashtag FFFFFF. So all these work. If you have a color scheme on your website, for example, and you want to stay within that color scheme, you're more likely to have the hex color code, and you can use that. So now it's not really white, it's more transparent because you can still see the roads underneath and so on. And like before in the overpass-turbo results, we want to have the borders a bit thicker. So we go to weight, so it's the same word that was used in the CSS there, and just drag this a bit over, to not too far, maybe like this, and save. Don't forget to save ever. And if I click on this now, yep, doesn't seem to be saved yet. Now it is, because it'll tell you map has been updated. Then you have to click disable editing. And if I click on one of the townlands now, it gives me the name, the standard name, which is in English. If you want to change that, you go into editing mode again by clicking on the pencil in the top right. Go on to manage layers and click on the little pencil. And if you go down here to interaction options and to pop-up content style, no, pop-up content template, sorry, you see that it has defined as a hashtag here, and then the wavy brackets and name, and wavy brackets and description. So if there was a description, it would display that. I'll show you that there isn't one. If I go back to the manage layers menu, and there's a table here next to the little pencil, there's a table, and you see all the tags that are associated with each of the townlands. And again, it's in alphabetical order, and if we look for D, there is no description. That's why it doesn't display a description. If we wanted to display the Irish name instead of the English name or the standard name, again, go to manage layers on the pencil, interaction options, pop-up content template, and you can delete the description, and instead of name you have name GA, and save that. And if you click on this little question mark here, it explains the text formatting options. So one hash is for a main heading. If we wanted to change that, for example, to italic, let's do that. Use an asterisk. Okay, and just hit save. And if I click on any of the townlands now, oh, I have to disable editing, of course. If I click on any of the townlands now, it'll give the name not in italics. I did something wrong. But it gives the Irish name, as you can see now. If I click on a different one, it gives always the Irish names. I think I might have to put a second asterisk behind. Always read the instructions. Save. Disable editing. And now it's in italic. So that worked, for example. You could also, if you don't like the map in black and white, if you wanted to change, let's say you want to keep the black outline for all the townlands, but you want to have every townland in a different color, you click on one of them and on the pencil that pops up there and shows you all the data that is saved, all the 10 tags, and go down to shape properties. And let's say you want to have this, this townland in light blue or dark blue. You just choose this color and then you go to the next townland on the pencil, scroll down, choose shape properties, fill color. Let's say you want that in this kind of a color that doesn't stand out much. And then the next townland, go down to fill color and choose more like a pinkish color. And so on, and you can have them all in different colors like that. And you can do a screenshot. Don't forget the attribution, move it down here, take your screenshot, crop it when doing the screenshot or afterwards, but be careful to leave the attribution in there. And then you could Photoshop the surrounding area so you're not distracted by the roads if you want to do that. And if you don't want to have to click on the townland to have the label displayed like this, you can also have displayed them permanently. Again, you go to Manage Layers, click on the pencil, and when you go onto Interaction Options, where we have defined to have the Irish name displayed, there is also an option Display Label, and the default is never, so you change that to always, and you see they appear now. They're not in the center of the townland, unfortunately. The best way to achieve that is by going to Label Direction and choose on the bottom. That's a bit better, I think. Or if you like it more on the top, you can choose that. It's still, there are too many on that zoom level to really take a screenshot and print it off or anything like that, because they're just overlapping with the townland borders and so on. It's not ideal, but it's okay if you use it on a website, because the map, if you implement it into a website, will be zoomable, and then it doesn't really matter too much that they're overlapping, because you can just zoom in onto a level that they don't. And it is back on the English name, of course. You have to change that in the advanced options, which is above the interaction options. You have 4 options: simplify, dash array, zoom level, and label key, and it's under label key where the default is name, and we have to change that to name : GA and save. And if you want to share this map online, you click on the left, there's the share button that looks like the one on WhatsApp or wherever, and you get an iframe and iframe options as well, where you can change the height of the map. You have to try that out on your website, and you might have to go back and change the formatting here. And then export that. There should be a short link displayed here. As like in the last video, I just don't know what why sometimes it is displayed and sometimes it isn't. What the trick is there, or if the website has just stopped offering that option. Yeah, or you can just go up into the address line and copy that, and you don't need the 13 is the zoom level, and then you have the coordinates. You don't really need those. You can, it's enough to just use this. And you might want to, of course, save your zoom level, and you do that, you just zoom in wherever you want it to, and you center your map, and this button here on the right, save this center and zoom, you click on that and save. Don't forget to save. And if I hit this now, it'll automatically jump, like, let's say I have zoomed out for some reason. If I delete the zoom level and the coordinates again where the center is and hit enter, it jumps to the zoom level and the center that we have saved. I hope that was enlightening in some way, and maybe you can use it for educational purposes or something. It's certainly interesting to see the Irish names, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.